When the veterans landed in Baltimore, they were first greeted on the runway with a surprise water cannon salute from the fire department. They were then greeted in the airport by Navy midshipmen and the crowd honoring them for their service. The first stop the veterans made after the bus ride from Baltimore into Washington, D.C. was Arlington National Cemetery. Honor Flight scheduled a special time slot for the changing of the guard so that all the veterans could see this historic ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? I am Staff Sergeant Courtney of the 3rd Infantry Regiment, United States Army. Guard of Honor, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. The ceremony that you are about to witness is the changing of the guard. In keeping with the dignity of this ceremony, it is requested that everyone remain silent and standing. Thank you. shoulder, up. Forward, up. Halt. Right. Face. Forward. Arch. Arch. Up. Hold on.
The next stop was the Women's Memorial. This memorial honors the service and sacrifice that women have made throughout history.
My service was 60 to 64 active duty, and then 64 to 83 reserve. Active duty, I worked at Fay-Toulant in Norfolk, Virginia. Worked as a blue box instructor and ran the film library. Reserve duty, I've done a lot of admin, personnel, training, you name it. A lot of reserve duty. I went from an E2 to, or an E4 to commander. I retired as a full commander, so I'm very proud of my service, and I'm very happy to be here today.
I'm Nancy Ray. I was in the Navy. I reached the rank of lieutenant commander. The Navy sent me to school to be a pediatric nurse practitioner, so that's what I did in the Navy. I took care of the sailors' kids, and I loved every minute of it, and I hated it when I had to leave. But and I love coming to the Women's Memorial. I really wanted to see that.
Well, I'm really honored to be on Honor Flight. It's just been amazing. It's very organized, and we're having a wonderful time. And I was just amazed that they greeted us at the airport, and I almost cried. It was so moving. But I was in the service in the Navy from 1971 to 75, and served mostly in Portsmouth, Virginia as a lab technician and corpsman. So, and then I was able to use the GI Bill when I got out of the service and get my degree.
Just completed in 2004, the World War II Memorial was the next stop. This memorial was completed 50 years after the ending of the war. When people found out that many of our World War II veterans could not make it on their own to see the memorial, Honor Flight was founded. This is one of the most visited memorials in all of Washington, D.C. The cost of the memorial was not paid for by the government, but by donations made by the public and service members from all over the country.
I'm the executive director for Honor Flight Columbus. I'm a veteran myself. I served during the Reagan years in the late 80s, and I was a cavalry scout. I served in the Armor Division, but stayed in Fort Knox, Kentucky the entire time of my service. I'm excited about where the organization is today, and they've flown 86 times and delivered 5,305 veterans to Washington, D.C. to see their monuments. It's got a mission, the honor, share, celebrate, that's sublime, and it can't be, you can't deny the good that it does within the communities and the outreach that it provides. The tentacles of Honor Flight cross all different kinds of groups.
I'm a volunteer with the Park Service as part of their Living History program. But specifically, I come to the World War II Memorial dressed out in the World War II gear to honor the veterans, to greet them, to remind them the uniforms that they wore. You can see their eyes light up when they see the uniform. They usually make comments about wearing that uniform, and so I think it helps bring back memories for them. But the main reason is just to honor the veterans.
There's another tradition that Honor Flight has done, and that is to present an American flag to the oldest veteran on the trip. So today on this trip we've got Mr. Gold, World War II veteran, and to present the flag we've got Cameron Dean here from the Naval Academy.
And on behalf of those who maintain this memorial, I have a World War II pin for him.
I've been in the Emperor's Palace grounds to take pictures in there. I was into photography too. And with the signal troop, I had a lot of odds and ends to do while I was over there. I even seen all the parachutes they left at Corregidor when the Army parachuted in, and I was in Manila Bay, and we entered the main warehouse and in the storage rooms to get rid of their signal equipment. And we took the signal equipment out in a 3/4 ton truck and burned it. And that was the end of the Japanese signals equipment. So it was quite a job, though, getting into the palace grounds, because they weren't going to let us in there. The guards there weren't going to let us, the United States soldiers, go in there. But we pulled out a letter, I think it was from MacArthur or at higher headquarters, that we had to go in and get the equipment.
The next stop was the Korean Memorial. This memorial consists of 19 7-foot-tall statues that stand in patches of bushes separated by polished granite strips. 54,246 Americans died in support of their country during this war.
1967, friends and neighbors sent me a letter, said, we hereby order you to report for 2 years of service. So I went willingly. And I ended up in Uijeonbu, Korea, which was about 15 miles south of North Korea. I spent my time over there. I spent 1 year, 11 months, 24 days, and 6 hours in the service. I got out, said I'd never join again. 5 years later, my brother-in-law talked me into joining the National Guard, and I spent another 28 years in the National Guard. So I guess that didn't hold true, so I had a good time while I was in the service.
I was in the Air Force. I was in the Strategic Air Command. We was in Guam, Kwajalein, Wake, Alaska, and my home base was Georgia.
These Korean guys, I'll tell you. Good trip.
I was served in Japan when the Korean War broke out. Fortunately, I didn't have to go to Korea. And I served 2.5 years in Japan and 4 years in the military.
Well, I was in service in the Army during the Korean War, and I was part of the Army Security Agency, which no longer exists. I guess I put them out of business. But anyway, I served for 3 years and was happy to do that. But more importantly, this nice student from Gahanna Lincoln High School I met, and since I learned it was her prom night, I've invited her to McDonald's tonight at 9:30 for a prom night special extravaganza under the big arches, the golden arches. Does that satisfy, Hannah?
Sounds perfect.
Good deal.
The Vietnam Memorial stands as a symbol of America's honor and recognition of the men and women who served and sacrificed their lives in Vietnam. Inscribed in the wall are the names of more than 58,000 men and women who gave their lives or remain missing.
The 9th of December 1965 in Dog Patch, just outside of Da Nang, Vietnam. I wrote this to my then neighbor girl. To the most wonderful girl that I have ever known. Hope that someday we can become man and wife. Love you forever, George. This one says, sweetheart, I don't know how much to write on a picture, so how's this? When you're drying dishes and tired as you can be, just hug the dear old wash rag and think you're hugging me. Married for 52 years. 53 this year.
Is that right? No, we didn't have that. We didn't have
I served in Germany in 1960 to 63 when they built the Berlin Wall. And then they sent me over, and when they tore it down, the National Guard sent me over when they tore it down.
To begin with, and I got orders for Athens, Greece, and I had to extend my enlistment, and I wanted to travel, and there was a travel agency right there, and I went through Europe and Asia and Africa and the Middle East, and it was a great experience.
Yes, I was a mechanic for the amphibious part of the Navy over in Vietnam. Repaired amphibious boats, LST. I was stationed on an LST, and we worked on LCVPs and all the landing crafts that went up and down the river in Vietnam.
Well, I was in the Army, and I went to Vietnam in 68 and 69. I was a door gunner on a helicopter.
So I love Honor Flight. Honor Flight is my passion, and Honor Flight, just love the camaraderie with the veterans and the Guardians. It's a wonderful day. To you. I'm going to go fishing because I have to pin it over your heart so that you know that it's from a grateful nation. Because we know you did not get a kind of return when you came.
I was in 101st Airborne and went in 65, got out in 68, was in 7th Plane from the 101st to Vietnam. The whole 101st went, and was there during the Tet Offensive, 67, 68, and then survived and got home okay. And it's a little nervous because Vietnam guys aren't quite used to this.
I was in Cam Ranh Bay, Vietnam. I started out being an ammunition storage specialist. I started driving 5-ton cargo and 2.5-ton. I ended up driving Jeep at the end for the battalion major. And I got E5.
I was drafted in the Army in 65, went to Vietnam in 66, stayed there for a year and a half. The Army made me a cook. So I cooked for the troops, drove truck.
My name is Sidney Stover. I was in South Vietnam from 70 to 71. Then I went back over in 72. I was in the 11th Armored Cav Unit and the Americal Division, and I just went over to do my duty and was respected of me. It's been a long time since, but still at times have reminisce about it, and it's not always good, but I don't regret it any. I'm thankful for the people that's here and sponsoring this, that we may revisit our comrades that's lost. It's on the wall, and the very more memorials. I feel that this is a very, very important step to keep these people in our hearts and minds. Thank you.
I was an infantry officer stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia. Did leadership training as well as race relations at Fort Benning. Never went to Vietnam, but I did serve during the war.
Mine was all Vietnam, so South China Sea, Gulf of Tonkin, that sort of thing. Yeah, I was on a destroyer. I was telling these guys, it was the USS Black. Its hull number was 666. I was lucky all the way. You got.
Okay, today has been special because I'm the former mayor of Delaware, and my escort is the current mayor of Delaware. So that is kind of special. I was in the Army, and most of my time I was stationed at Fort Sill in Oklahoma.
I'm overwhelmed. You know, when we come home, we didn't get this kind of greeting. And I was on a Navy destroyer off the coast of Vietnam, gunfire support for I Corps.
26 years active duty Air Force as a transportation officer, mainly air transportation. Been to England, Turkey, California, Philippines, Vietnam, New Jersey, Virginia, Illinois, and retired out of a Defense Logistics Agency here in Ohio. It's really an honor to be on this trip. It's great that people really care about veterans, and great to be a part of it.
Honor Flight was founded in 2005 by physician's assistant and retired Air Force Captain Earl Morse. When Earl learned that many of the World War II veterans that he treated had no way of getting themselves to the memorial, he went into action.
One of the greatest joys that we have as organizers, anybody that's in Honor Flight, is to see this growth, because when we first started this, we were the only group that was here. I mean, you had Honor Flight Columbus, that was it, and then maybe Honor Flight Dayton. And now, today, there's 15 Honor Flight groups from all over the nation. And it warms my heart to see that it wasn't just in Ohio that we revere and we cherish our World War II and Korean and Vietnam veterans. It's all over the nation. It's started in Ohio. I'm grateful for that. But I'm even more grateful for the fact that, it's just taken off and exploded across the country. We have now transported over 210,000 veterans out here to Washington, D.C., and not one of them has paid a penny to do that. So we're so grateful for all the support that we get, and we're grateful for our veterans who were willing to sacrifice everything for all the things that we enjoy and we take for granted.
One special group that the veterans were able to see was the Marine Corps silent drill team that performed in front of the Lincoln Memorial.
Marines are hand-selected from the School of Infantry. Right before they get to the barracks, they get here. They do about 5 to 6 months of intensive training for selection, and then out in Yuma, perfecting the drill that you are about to see. The rifles that they carry are M1 Grands. Some of you guys might remember them. You might have used them yourself. Yeah, you thing that weighs up to about 10 to 1/2 pounds. So the drill that you see right there is using that same one that you held once, and it weighs actually about 10 to 1/2 pounds. Represent the best that the Marine Corps has to offer in discipline, pride, and esprit de corps. Hoorah! Hoorah!
So the process for us would be straight out of the School of Infantry. You get screened to see if you can qualify to come to Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C. From there, you get hand-selected to go through Silent Drill School. We start off roughly with 120 students. By the end of the school, we only select about 12 to 15 yearly. The school is about 3 months long, and then from there, we head out for our spring training in Yuma, Arizona.
One of the most important parts of Honor Flight are the people who serve as guardians on the trip. A few of them share why they have chosen to participate.
Hey, good morning. My name is Niles Moffitt. I volunteered for this because it's just an opportunity for me to get back to the men who gave pretty much a whole lot of their lives in order to defend our country, and it's just an honor to be here and sort of carry on that legacy, and I hope to do it well.
I've only been to the airport before to greet the veterans coming in, but I wanted to take advantage of this opportunity, and it's so wonderful and such a humbling experience.
So this has been an awesome opportunity. I've been on ground crew for many years, and this is the first time I've gotten to fly to DC, and I've had the pleasure of being with Steve all day, and it's been a great day, and I was the first and only casualty on the trip.
I heard about Honor Flight through the Upper Arlington Rotary Club. I'm part of Interact, which is the youth extension of Rotary. So the mentor for Interact asked me if I wanted to come on. Of course, I said yes. I'd heard about Honor Flight before. Never thought I'd be able to do it, especially at 18. And yeah, that's how I got involved. And today was awesome. I've been to the memorials before, but going with veterans and seeing their reactions, people that actually lived through these wars, and it was an incredible experience.
So my experience as a Guardian was really life-changing, and I got to see Guardians see their monuments for the first time, and there was a lot of tears that fell, but it was a very good day.
I just have a lot of respect for the vets and what all they have done for the service, and just enjoy coming and working with them and make sure they all get home again.
Today was just honestly amazing. Like, missing out on prom, like, I don't even care about that, because this is just an experience that is so much more memorable. Being able to be with some very amazing people who definitely deserve the respect that we are trying to give them, and overall, like, being able to see all the monuments and having the perfect weather just made the experience probably something I'll never forget.
So trip number 226, and I just am blessed to be able to give back. I want to just be able to bless the veterans and be able to spend some time with them and hear their stories and be able to pay it forward, and this is one of those ways. So I feel like it's my mission in life, and I'm going to keep going till we're done with all the veterans that we've got. All right, veterans, if you're still awake, what was your favorite part of being in the service? Someone said payday. We have mail call for you. So Guardians, we want to be careful, and if you could kind of hand them back, that'd be wonderful. But we've accumulated mail from all over, family, politicians, neighbors, dignitaries, you name it. Your mail call packet's going to be full of things, and it's going to become priceless to you. So just be really careful if you're in the aisle. I'd almost rather that you stay seated once you get the packets, but hand them back, because you never know when a New Jersey driver is going to pull out in front of us and hit the brakes. Oh, back here? All right.
Regan?
I'll put these inside the big box.
Joe Harmon?
Dear John, I married your father. Let's hope for not a love father.
As crowded as Washington, D.C. is, the only way that Honor Flight can get around through the city quickly is by using a police escort. No matter how thick the traffic is, when the police escort comes through, the traffic must move to the side of the road. It is another way that Honor Flight and the public recognize the veterans for their sacrifice. At the end of the trip, some of the veterans share their feelings about Honor Flight and their favorite memories they experienced throughout the day.
The whole thing was my favorite part. Everything was great. All the memorials, all the people. It was just magnificent. I never had a day like this before. It was wonderful, very wonderful. All the volunteers and the Guardians, they were exceptional. Really nice.
I think all the memorials are terrific, and what the Honor Flight has done for us as veterans is unbelievable. The Korean Memorial was my favorite because I had an uncle that was killed in Korea on October 8, 1952. But I want to thank the Honor Flight and the volunteers. They did a terrific job. It's unbelievable what they did. So thank you very much.
I guess the favorite part today was all of the surprises. Not only due to the schedule we were doing, but last time was in Washington, D.C. and saw all the monuments. They changed a whole lot of stuff around, so it was surprise after surprise after surprise, all positive.
Enjoyed everything. Everything done today.
It was probably one of the most extreme pleasures I've ever had in my life. Having to meet all the people, all the ones that I've served with, going to serve with, it was an awesome trip, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you to the Honor Flight and their committee.
Actually, this is my second Honor Flight experience. I was a Guardian several years ago. I'll tell you what, I think perhaps one of the neatest things about today were the crowds around the memorials. It was great being with veterans, loved it, but also just seeing the general populace out interested in our country's heritage, and they're all over. Crowds upon crowds. That made me feel good. It was a heck of an experience.
I've seen the Vietnam Wall before, but this time it was a little bit more comfortable for me, and I enjoyed it a little bit more. So every bit of it was, everybody was really nice. And another thing, I can't believe the younger people, they're so patriotic.
The honor flight as an experience was wonderful. I can't say enough about the people who've organised it and the people who looked after us all day. They've been marvellous. The place itself was absolutely wonderful to see. A lot of the things touched your heart, they really did. The Arlington Cemetery was out of this world. It reminded me of the cemetery at Normandy, which I visited. I visited the American cemetery. I've never been to the British one, which is a lot smaller. But that was really, it's heartrending when you see it. But it's something that has to be done. We've got to, sooner or later, we're going to have to fight again. It'll be the fight to end all fights, I think, if it does. But we might have to do it. I'll be too old. I am too old now. But somebody will pick up the reins. The kids we saw today were great as well. They're coming along nicely. You know, don't give up on the American youth or even the British youth. And the memorials were just heartrending, some of them. When you saw how many people were still missing, that the families don't know whether they're alive, dead. Some of them by now have to be dead because of their age. But if you don't know what happened to your kin, then you're in it's something to really take home with you. And overall, it was wonderful. I just can't thank people enough for the way they've looked after me.
Overall, the flight was just unbelievable. In fact, the entire day. From the changing the guard at Arlington to the silent drill team with the Marines at the Lincoln Memorial. But I think the best part for me was just the impact of Arlington, just on me.
It was great. I got up 2 o'clock this morning, couldn't sleep, didn't sleep last night. Now I'm ready to go. Well, it was great. That's all I can say. Great. The only thing I thought that Korean Wall had the names in them, but they were just pictures, you know. I was looking for my friend that we know each other from birth almost, and he was joined the Marines when he was 17, and he was killed right at the beginning of the war, and I missed him.
Just getting to come and be with my brothers. Appreciate them all of them. Glad to see all of them get back alive, and really enjoyed myself. Hey, and we had a very, very good guardian.
Oh, my name's Darrell Haggett. I enjoyed today, really did. I thank God and praise God for my brother and I got to come together. We've been trying to get up here for the last 3 years, but we finally got up here together. Thank you all. I thank each and every one of you.
My day was wonderful, and my favorite part was when the general pinned us with the Vietnam pin. That was really exciting to have that done.
I got something to remember. What short life I have. 96.
The high point of today was when I got off of the plane and walked up the ramp, and all those guys, get ready. All those guys out there waiting to greet you. I didn't look for that. So that was the top part of the day for me.
A group of Gahanna Lincoln High School students trading in their tuxes and gowns for a flight with some true American heroes. The four were selected to be a part of an honor flight in the nation's capital. Rob Wells is live at John Glenn International Airport tonight. Rob, that flight just got back. Just seeing those images, amazing tonight.
A huge, overwhelming support out here tonight. A lot of emotion, Rodney. I'd say at least 200 families, parents, students. These are all Gahanna Lincoln students, as you said. This was their big prom night, but 4 of them took the time off to take this honor flight today. 90 veterans from Ohio, as well as surrounding states. A lot of them Vietnam vets. We even had one 96-year-old World War II veteran. Just take a look at some of the video from a little bit earlier as these guys are getting off the plane. This was about 9:30 tonight here at John Glenn International Airport. And what a show of love and support it was. Imagine the trip that these guys had today. Again, these students, all juniors from the high school, taking this honor flight to the nation's capital. They saw some of the highlights, some of the most important, vital parts of our history. And again, the best part is that these kids got to be on board and talk to these veterans one-on-one. We've got 2 of them right here tonight. Right over here is Chloe Callahan. Chloe, you were on that flight today. You told me you gave up the prom tonight, but it was such an amazing night. Talk to me about the day itself.
Okay, so today was something that I will never forget because I got to go to Washington, D.C. for the first time with 90 veterans, and I got to hear a lot of stories about their time in the war, so it was definitely something I will never forget.
How were you selected?
I was selected by my TV class. My teacher actually selected me, one of 4 students out of all of his classes, so it was awesome.
These veterans have so much to tell and to share. What was your questions? What were you really curious about?
I was just curious about, what they did in the war because I wanted to know a little more deeper, and I found out a lot of information about what they did and how they got selected. So it was really cool to hear.
Chloe, great job. Thanks so much. Mitchell Webb was also on board. He even brought a rose for me. How kind of you. What was it like out there today? What was that flight like? It's something you probably won't forget.
Someone won't forget is probably just the amount of support we had. So there was over a couple thousand people total supporting each and every honor flight. There was just people everywhere supporting us no matter where we went. And especially for those Vietnam veterans who were not welcomed when they came back, for our country to turn around and support them the way they did, it's just really special to me.
Thanks so much, Mitchell. We appreciate it. We did talk to some of the veterans. I don't know if we have time to listen to some of their sound, but we did talk to a couple veterans earlier. Let's take a listen.
So each veteran had an escort from Columbus. And then when we got there, we picked up midshipmen from the Naval Academy. So each veteran had 2 escorts the whole time.
Great show of support and a great show of love out here tonight. The folks still out here just kind of learning about the stories and so many stories to tell. Live at John Glenn International, Rob Wells.
It's wonderful. It's unbelievable what they did for us.
It's known as one of the most magical nights of the year for teens, but a group of local high schoolers skipped it, their prom, to thank and welcome home veterans from Washington, D.C. today. Awesome. NBC4's Dan Perlman joins us from John Glenn International Airport with more on this amazing story. And Dan, we know honor flights are always so special, but this one was just a little bit extra special.
Yeah, I've covered a lot of these honor flight homecomings, and what we saw here tonight truly was something special. Most importantly, the veterans took notice. In the Gahanna Lincoln community, it's a big night.
Because we have prom tonight.
But instead of prom,
just come here instead.
Hot fellow band members helped to welcome home these 89 heroes. 89 veterans who spent the day in Washington seeing the monuments, memorials there for them.
Great, wonderful. It's unbelievable what they did for us.
Just off the plane, Chuck Christopher. That's wonderful. Already knowing about these kids is grateful.
Sometimes you wonder how the young kids treat vets, but for them to do that's amazing.
But here in Columbus, it's these veterans amazing the kids.
It's hard to put into words how thankful we are and for how much they've given up, because there's so many people that they serve just the whole country, and they've given up their life to be able to help us. So just a huge thank you.
And now another group of veterans is getting ready for the next honor flight, Columbus. That is scheduled for May 19th. Local for you in Columbus, Dan Perlman, NBC4.
Hopefully we'll at least shed some light in a more positive way on what these young folks can contribute and are willing to do.
Amazing pictures making the rounds on social media for all the right reasons. Thanks for joining us tonight at 11. I'm Katie Farrell. We told you last night about some local teenagers giving up their prom to welcome home veterans from an honor flight. Well, those vets took notice. And Dan Perlman's here with their story. Dan.
Yeah, absolutely, Katie. This is a story about friendship and sacrifice. 2 different types of sacrifice that are sure to unite 2 people forever. Herb Cunningham.
I am a Korean War veteran.
And Hannah Seacrest.
I'm a junior at Gahanna Lincoln High School.
Were strangers, 2 people united on a special day, an unforgettable night.
Well, I think it was a bigger night for the vets because it really is about them.
See, Hannah served as a student guardian traveling with the veterans on Saturday's honor flight Columbus. Saturday was also prom. Herb.
And at that point, I made an offer to Hannah that said she missed her prom, that later on when we got back to the Columbus airport, we might have our little prom dinner of our own.
So the veteran called his wife. She brought the meal, and as you can see, Hannah joined Herb.
I think I was ecstatic.
As they shared a prom night meal on the airport floor. 2 generations.
There was clear evidence of a right heart and a right spirit.
The veteran and the teenager, united by their 2 very different sacrifices for each other.
I'm grateful for what they did in the wars for us. Take the time for me was really sweet.
Really, just 2 very incredible people. Katie, I talked with them both, and they say they absolutely want this friendship to last for a lifetime.
It melts your heart. You posted that picture last night. It has gone viral on social media. You've heard from people from all over.
Absolutely. You know, I was walking through the airport late last night, right before our live shot when we were talking about the homecoming. Somebody said, you have to see this. She shared the pictures with me, and they have just taken off from there.
Such a great story. Thanks for sharing with us, Dan. Appreciate it. Love it. We need more good stories like that, that's for sure. And for more on the Honor Flight Columbus and to see Dan's story from yesterday, go to NBC4i.com.